London. National Gallery. London's National Gallery, founded in 1824, houses a rich collection of over 2,300 paintings dating from the mid-13th century to 1900 in its home on Trafalgar Square. The collection belongs to the British public and entry to the main collection is free, although there are charges for entry to special exhibitions. The present building on the northern side of Trafalgar Square is the third to house the gallery, and like its predecessors, it has often been deemed inadequate. The facade by William Wilkins is the only part of his original building of 1832 to 1838 that remains essentially unchanged, as the structure as a whole has been altered and expanded in a piecemeal manner throughout its history. Notable additions have been made by E. M. Barry and Robert Venturi. Open every day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. except Wednesdays, when the museum extends its hours until 9 p.m. With its entrance opening out onto Trafalgar Square, it's hard to miss the National Gallery, UK, and other tourist attractions like St. Martin's Church, St. James Park, and Buckingham Palace in such close proximity. An afternoon could easily be spent taking in these great sights, and the free admission price is another of the gallery's selling points. Even if you had to spend £20 to get in, there would really be no reason to miss the finest collection of art in London. Tower Bridge. As the Industrial Revolution swept through London, England, the city flourished. Population in the industrial east side of the city increased drastically and gave rise to a need for a bridge that crossed the Thames River other than the main thoroughfare at the time, the famous London Bridge. Thus, the marvellous Tower Bridge was built in 1894 after 8 years of construction. The east end of London was a major port for trade and industry at the time, and architects knew that the London Tower Bridge would have to mark allowances for the heavy ship traffic that passed along this area of the Thames River daily. The Tower Bridge was a bit of an engineering marvel at the time and remains to this day a popular tourist attraction. Tower Bridge history actually begins in 1876, when a special bridge committee was first formed to begin making plans and reviewing ideas for a tower bridge in London. More than 50 designs were submitted to the Special Bridge Committee for consideration, some of which can be viewed in the Tower Bridge exhibit today. Finally, in 1884, the design of Horace Jones was chosen and approved for construction. The London Tower Bridge design was both aesthetically pleasing and functional. Two huge towers suspend an upper walkway for pedestrians as well as a lower road for vehicles. The lower road is comprised of two halves which can be raised up to allow ships to pass. Tower Bridge history reflects that at the time of its construction, the London Tower Bridge was powered by steam. Although the steam pumps were replaced by an electric system in 1976, the old steam pumps of the Tower Bridge in London can still be viewed today. The Tower Bridge in London remains one of the more popular tourist attractions in the city. In 1982, the upper walkway of the Tower Bridge, London, was opened to the public as an exhibition. The walkway was paved, the enclosed area lined with pictures and information about the Tower Bridge history. Views from atop the Tower Bridge, London are incredible, and the windows have even been designed to allow tourists to take pictures from behind the glass without interference. Admission to the Tower Bridge London exhibit can be purchased in advance online or in person at the Tower Bridge ticket office. Guests may purchase tickets to view the exhibit only, the monument only, or both together. Prices vary depending on the age of the guests, ranging from about £5 to £20, with children under age 5 being free. The Tower Bridge is open daily from 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. throughout the year, closing to observe Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. For anyone interested in architectural history or simply hoping to take some pictures from a lovely vantage spot, the London Tower Bridge makes a great destination. London Eye. The London Eye is located at the western end of Jubilee Gardens, on the south bank of the River Thames in London, United Kingdom, between Westminster Bridge and Hungerford Bridge. The London Eye, also known as the Millennium Wheel, is the tallest Ferris wheel in Europe and has become the most popular paid tourist attraction in the United Kingdom, visited by over 3 million people a year. The wheel carries 32 sealed and air-conditioned passenger capsules attached to its external circumference. Each capsule holds approximately 25 people who are free to walk around inside the capsule, though seating is also provided. It rotates at 26 centimeters per second, so that one revolution takes about 30 minutes. The wheel does not usually stop to take on passengers. The rotation rate is so slow that they can easily walk on and off the moving capsules at ground level. It is, however, stopped to allow disabled or elderly passengers time to embark and disembark safely. Sri Swaminarayan Mandir, London. The Swaminarayan Mandir in the London suburb of Williston was the first Swaminarayan Mandir to be opened in the city of London, United Kingdom. Today, the Swaminarayan Sampradaya has 6 Swaminarayan Mandirs across London alone. In 1975, a disused church on Willstane Lane was bought and renovated. On the auspicious day of Sharad Purnima, on 11th October 1975, Acharya Maharaj Shri Tejendra Prasad Pandey installed the martyrs of Swaminarayan, Nar Narayan Dev, Radha Krishna Dev, Hanuman and Ganesh. The church building could not accommodate the increasing numbers of satsangis over time. In 1986, a proposal was put forward to demolish the 2 existing buildings and in its place build a 3-temple story complex which would combine the traditional Hindu temple architecture and British designs. The ceremonial stone was laid on 12th October 1986. On 29th July 1988, Acharya Maharaj Shri Tejendra Prasad Pandey opened the new building. Buckingham Palace. Buckingham Palace in London, England is not only the official residence of the Queen. Over the years, this sprawling palace has entertained countless heads of state from around the world, issued official statements during times of war, and as of late has become a major tourist attraction. Until recently, Buckingham Palace was not available for public tours, and the only guests allowed in the palace were there by royal invitation. The Buckingham Palace of today, however, welcomes travellers in for a Buckingham Palace tour 8 weeks out of the year. Much of the rest of the year, the royal family is in residence and often conducting official palace business. Another major Buckingham Palace attraction with a firm place in Buckingham Palace history is the changing of the guard. Changing of the guard generally happens once a day at 11:30 AM all year long. Tourists should note, however, that due to weather and various security precautions, the changing of the guard is sometimes cancelled at the last minute. Also, though the changing of the guard is often thought to be mostly ceremonial, the guard does in actuality serve an important security role. Security in and around the palace is taken quite seriously. Whether you plan to take a tour in Buckingham Palace for a voyeuristic look at royal life throughout the ages, or simply marvel at its huge statue from outside the palace walls, guests of London will surely be impressed by the magnificence of this historical place. Stonehenge. Travellers throughout the world travel to Stonehenge, located in England, each year hoping to catch a glimpse of what many believe to be the work of early Druids. This belief is not substantiated, however, and Stonehenge is surrounded by controversy. It is known that Stonehenge is thousands of years old, and much of the Stonehenge mystery centers on how the gigantic stones were moved. Mainstream archaeology continues to be fascinated and baffled by the purpose of Stonehenge, and the site remains one of the most popular tourist attractions in the United Kingdom and throughout the world. There are conflicting theories on Stonehenge history. Until the late 19th century, it was widely believed that Stonehenge's circular arrangement was the work of ancient Druids. Earlier beliefs were usually influenced heavily by myths and legends passed down through the ages. One story in the 12th century detailed Merlin, the wizard, constructing Stonehenge by magically transporting the enormous rocks, while still other accounts associated Stonehenge mystery with the medieval court of King Arthur. The first academic study of Stonehenge, England, took place in 1740. John Aubrey was the first historian to take measurements of the structure, allowing for greater analysis of the form itself. Though Aubrey also declared Stonehenge, England, to be the work of the Druids, he was able to demonstrate the possible astronomical role suggested by the placement of the stones themselves. Years later, bronze fragments were found near the site, giving creed to the idea that the site was constructed during the Bronze Age. On other piece of the Stonehenge mystery puzzle is the blue stones. The blue stones are incongruously worked stones that seem to have been added to the monument after its original construction. Theories as to the arrival of the blue stones include ideas that there was some kind of alliance between groups signified by the merging of two cultural pieces, or that possibly the arrival of the blue stones was meant to signify the dominance of one group over another. However, the blue stones did in fact arrive, and there is no doubt that Stonehenge mystery is only enhanced by this curious addition. If you would like to view this ancient site on your vacation to England, Stonehenge tours are reasonably priced and widely available. Tourists will find that a fence meant to keep out vandalizing travelers today surrounds Stonehenge, and ticket for Stonehenge tours will allow you to enter this area. Though the actual structure is roped off, travelers can make a full revolution around the circular structure. It is often noted that Stonehenge tours are best conducted at sunrise or sunset. Due to the structure and placement of the stones, the site is most impressive with the sun peeking out from between the rocks. Tower of London. Her Majesty's Royal Palace and Fortress, more commonly known as the Tower of London, is a historic monument in central London. It is located within the London borough of Tower Hamlets and is separated from the eastern edge of the City of London by the open space known as Tower Hill. The Tower of London is often identified with the White Tower, the original stark square fortress built by William the Conqueror in 1078. However, the tower as a whole is a complex of several buildings set within two concentric rings of defensive walls and a moat. The tower's primary function was a fortress, a royal palace, and a prison. This last use has led to the phrase "sent to the tower." It has also served as a place of execution and torture, an armory, a treasury, a zoo, the Royal Mint, a public records office, an observatory, and since 1303, the home of the crown jewels of the United Kingdom. St. Paul's Cathedral. St. Paul's Cathedral is the Anglican cathedral on Ludgate Hill in the city of London and the seat of the Bishop of London. The present building dates from the 17th century and is generally reckoned to be London's fifth St. Paul's Cathedral, although the number is higher if every major medieval reconstruction is counted as a new cathedral. The cathedral sits on the edge of London's oldest region, the city, which originated as a Roman trading post along the edge of the River Thames. The cathedral is one of London's most visited sites. The cathedral is built of Portland stone in a late Renaissance style that is England's sober Baroque. Its impressive dome was inspired by St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. It rises 365 feet to the cross at its summit, making it a famous London landmark. The nave has three small chapels in the two adjoining aisles: All Souls and St. Dunstan's in the north aisle, and the chapel of the Order of St. Michael and St. George in the south aisle. The main space of the cathedral is centered under the dome. It rises 108.4 meters from the cathedral floor and holds three circular galleries: the internal Whispering Gallery, the external Stone Gallery, and the external Golden Gallery. The Whispering Gallery runs around the interior of the dome and is 99 feet above the cathedral floor. It is reached by 259 steps from ground level. It gets its name because a whisper against its wall at any point is audible to a listener with your ear held to the wall at any other point around the gallery. This works only for whispered speech. Normal voiced speech is not focused in this way. Royal Courts of Justice. The Royal Courts of Justice, commonly called the Law Courts, is the building in London which houses the Court of Appeal of England and Wales and the High Court of Justice of England and Wales. Courts within the building are open to the public, although there may be some restrictions depending upon the nature of the cases being heard. The building is a large grey stone edifice in the Victorian Gothic style and was designed by George Edmund Street, a solicitor turned architect. It was built in the 1870s. The Royal Courts of Justice were opened by Queen Victoria in December 1882. It is on the Strand in the city of Westminster, near the border with the City of London and the London Borough of Camden. It is surrounded by the four Inns of Court and London School of Economics. The nearest tube stations are Chancery Lane and Temple. Madame Tussauds. Madame Tussauds is a famous wax museum in London with branches in a number of major cities. It was set up by wax sculptor Marie Tussaud. Marie Tussaud was born to Marie Grosholz in Strasbourg, France. Her mother worked as a housekeeper for Dr. Philip Curtius, who was a physician skilled in wax modeling. Curtius taught Tussaud the art of wax modeling. in 1765, Curtius made a wax work of Marie Jeanne du Barry, Louis XV's mistress. A cast of that mold is the oldest work currently on display. The first exhibition of Curtius waxworks was shown in 1770 and attracted a large audience. The exhibition moved to the Palais Royal in Paris in 1776. He opened a second location on Boulevard du Temple in 1782. The Caverns des Grands Voleurs, a precursor to the later Chamber of Horrors. One of the main attractions of our museum was the Chamber of Horrors. This part of the exhibition included victims of the French Revolution and newly created figures of murderers and other criminals. The name is often credited to a contributor to Punch in 1845, but Marie appears to have originated it herself, using it in advertising as early as 1843. Other famous people were added to the exhibition, including Horatio Nelson and Sir Walter Scott. Some of the sculptures done by Tussauds herself still exist. In 1842, she made a self-portrait which is now on display at the entrance of her museum. The museum moved to its current location on Marylebone Road in 1884. In 1925, a fire destroyed many of the figures, but the molds survived, allowing the historical waxworks to be remade. Madame Tussauds Wax Museum has now grown to become a major tourist attraction in London, incorporating the London Planetarium in its west wing. It has expanded with branches in Amsterdam, Berlin, Las Vegas, New York City, Hong Kong, Shanghai and Washington DC, with an additional location scheduled to open in Hollywood in 2009. Today's wax figures at Tussauds include historical and royal figures, film stars, sports stars and famous murderers. Known as Madame Tussauds Museums, they are owned by a leisure company called Merlin Entertainments, following the acquisition of the Tussauds Group in May 2007. In July 2008, Madame Tussauds Berlin branch became embroiled in controversy when a 41-year-old German man brushed past two guards and decapitated a wax figure depicting Adolf Hitler. This was believed to be an act of protest against showing the ruthless dictator alongside sports heroes, movie stars, and other historical figures. However, the statue has since been repaired, and the perpetrator has admitted he attacked the statue to win a bet.